We are back with a fresh edition of the Valley's most in-depth, detailed weather video. We call it Weather for Weather Geeks, but I suspect there's a lot of, well, non-geeks watching tonight with some snow on the way for tomorrow morning. Very, very active on my Facebook, especially this afternoon, with a lot of people commenting on the forecast for tomorrow morning. There's a lot of doubters out there. A lot of people seeing lower forecasts from other sources, including their apps and the National Weather Service and on and on and on. We're pretty confident in our forecast. We're going to see how this plays out, and maybe tomorrow evening I'll be eating some humble pie, but I suspect we're in pretty good shape as far as our forecast goes at this point. We'll get into the details here in this video. First of all, today, it was our coldest morning since the first day of February. It's been since February 1st since we've had a morning low in the single digits, but we hit 8 at the airport just before daybreak at 7:08 this morning, and we snuck up to 31 chilly degrees despite some fairly anemic sunshine out there this afternoon. All right, let's bottom line it for you here right off the top and tell you what to expect. We're expecting snow to get underway between 5 and 7 a.m. on Wednesday. It'll kind of arrive from southwest to northeast. Difficult travel for a lot of the morning. If you have to be out on the roads Wednesday morning, boy, just plan on a tough, frustrating go of it, because the snowfall rates are going to be pretty impressive. So we get into the afternoon, it's going to warm up through the 30s, and we might see some mixed precipitation right around midday, but I think this transitions into some light rain in the afternoon. That's the end of our animation here, shows the model depiction in the afternoon, just some rain. And we're going to already see a fair amount of melting, I think, during the second half of the day. So hurry up and get out and measure this stuff about lunchtime tomorrow before it starts to melt in the afternoon. The setup. We have a lot of moisture gathering to our south. We also have high pressure, which has kind of been drifting overhead today. That's supplying the colder air, or the air that's cold enough, I should say, for frozen precipitation as this precipitation shield pushes off to the north. Now, you'll notice on the northern fringes right now, there's almost no snow, but that's going to change, I think, tonight. As this starts encountering that colder air up near the Ohio River Valley, you're going to start to see snow blossoming on the front edge of that precipitation shield. There's a lot of real estate under some sort of winter alert this evening. Most of it is a winter weather advisory. That's in the purple, and that includes all of our television viewing area. Actually, the entire state of Ohio is under a winter weather advisory. The entire state of Pennsylvania is under some sort of winter weather product, mostly a winter weather advisory, but down near the PA Turnpike and down across the Mason-Dixon line, down into the Blue Ridge Parkway and parts of western Virginia. It's a winter storm warning down there. Also some winter storm warnings out across the upper Midwest this evening. All right, so how's this going to play out? Let's roll this forward. Oh, is my model not going to show up? Maybe my model is not going to load for me here. Well, what I would expect to be showing you at this point, if my model were to load, is the snow shield pushing in as we go towards 5, 6, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. The snow gets in, and it thumps for a few hours, and then we probably see a transition over to some sort of light mixed precipitation right around midday. As far as the hourly snow chances, again, you can get these anytime on the Storm Tracker 21 app. Tap on hourly. Notice the big jump that occurs from 5 to 7 a.m., and it's going to be snowing everywhere, 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, even 10 o'clock in the morning, and then our snow chances start to decrease as the types or the chances of other types of precipitation start to increase by midday. Here's a look at the latest computer modeling. I'll get out of the way here. Leading the pack this evening, the NAM model up here. The European has been consistent, showing 3 to 4, even up to 5 inches in some spots. The latest RPM model has jumped up to about 3 inches. I'll tell you, I don't know what the GFS is doing. The GFS all day has had very low amounts, and I'm not sure what it's doing. So the GFS, including the GFS Ensemble, which is way down here, I think it's out to lunch and way too low. So that's the model spread based on 10-to-1 ratios. Here's a look at one model hourly output for the cumulative snow accumulation, and it just goes to show you how hot and heavy this is going to be going for a few hours. I mean, we could have 1 inch per hour rates, especially between, say, 7 and 10. There's going to be times in which it could be up to 1 inch per hour. That makes it really difficult for road crews to keep up with the conditions out there. So, yes, we have a stripe of 3 to 5 inches in the purple. And if you're doing some traveling tomorrow morning, Akron, Canton kind of in the same boat, Dover, New Philly kind of in the same boat. The Pittsburgh area is close to the 2 to 3 or 3 to 5 zone, probably a few inches at least down into the Pittsburgh area tomorrow morning. When we zoom in and take a look a little bit closer at our area, I've got a kind of a fine line here where somewhat lower amounts up towards Kinsman and Mespo and over towards Greenville, but even there, you're going to see at least a couple of inches out of this. So yeah, 3 to 5. And, keep in mind, and I always say this when we're talking about snow events, we give ranges for a reason. People tend to fixate on the highest number, and they look at this map and say, oh, we're going to get 5 inches. No, we're not. That's not what we're saying. We're saying 3 to 5 inches. I think most of our area will be somewhere in that range. A lot of places may be closer to the 3 than the 5. Wouldn't be shocked if some places tried to get up to 5 inches. If I had to put odds on it, I'd say the highest odds of seeing the top end of the range is probably down in here, Salineville, Lisbon, Hanoverton, maybe over towards East Palestine as well, and maybe as far south as East Liverpool. But, 3 to 5 I think is going to be a pretty good range for a lot of places. I think what you're going to see this evening is other sources, including the National Weather Service, upping their snowfall totals. Depending on what happens with the evening modeling, my suspicion is you're going to see those numbers that you're finding on the National Weather Service homepage coming up later this evening. TV meteorologists don't have to go along with the National Weather Service forecast. I've been doing this for 18 years, and I have many instances I can point to where I've been wrong, for sure, just like any meteorologist in the world can do. But I'm pretty confident in tonight's forecast, and very rarely do you see my forecast match the National Weather Service. It's just not how we do business. I make my own forecast. But nonetheless, as you go into tomorrow morning, again, if you're doing some traveling, be prepared to be frustrated by how conditions are out there. Visibility will be low for a time. All right, as we get into the late afternoon and evening tomorrow, the warmest part of the day will probably be towards midnight. As this warm front continues pushing north, we'll get into a brisk southerly flow, liquid precipitation, and a lot of melting is going to go on during the second half of the day tomorrow. And from midnight to 3 a.m. Thursday morning, it could be in the mid-40s before the cold front rolls through. And then a pretty benign end of the week Thursday with times of clouds and sun. We'll probably still sneak above average Thursday afternoon despite us being in the wake of a cold front. And then Friday is a decent day as well. Some high clouds around, making for a milky sky. But I've got 45 in our forecast for Friday afternoon, so a pretty nice end to the week. What about the weekend? We've been talking about how the weekend looks pretty balmy, and I still think that's the case. Now, Saturday, we do have a chance for a couple of showers, especially in the afternoon. Kind of a tough forecast at this early, stage as to how far north the showers get. They might be closer to I-70 for a lot of the day. We might get away with a mostly dry day on Saturday. The highest chance for rain over the weekend is very likely going to be Saturday night into Sunday morning. And boy, is this storm going to wind up as it goes through the upper Midwest. So Sunday looks like a real windy day. Now, depending on the timing of things, the warmest part of Sunday may be in the morning. With our cold front back here, it might roll through before the morning is through and send temperatures tumbling in the afternoon. But whenever our high temperature is on Sunday, it's likely to be very balmy by February standards, well up into the 50s. Temperatures might fall behind the front. Some showers around, especially in the morning, I suspect, on Sunday, again, depending on the timing of the front. And then behind this front, yes, it's going to be colder. It's going to be more seasonable, but it's not a harsh cold air mass. I've still got 30s to lower 40s for highs early on next week. So it's just kind of back to pretty typical late February stuff. Now, that being said, the end of February and into the first week, maybe even 10 days of March, look pretty cold. For a lot of February, the real cold stuff's been bottled up out here. I think as we go towards March 1st and into that first week of March, finally the floodgates will open a little bit, allowing the colder air to come east, and it'll be more consistently cold compared to the average here in early March. Now, how long does that stick around? My gut feeling is about a week to 10 days, and then the rest of March does not look that cold right now. I'm going to do a March forecast and a meteorological spring forecast next week, but my gut feeling right now is that March starts pretty darn cold. The rest of the month may be a lot like January and February, and that it won't be all that cold at all compared to the average. And hopefully we'll get a spring, doing its thing much earlier than it has the last couple of years, especially last year. I've mentioned this a few times. Last year, things didn't start to bloom really until late April, early May. It took forever to warm up, but once it did warm up, of course, we went straight into summer in early May. But March and April were not great last year. I'm hoping, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to have a better early spring this year. I'll be on Facebook Live this evening at 9:30 on my Facebook page. Tune in. It'll be a video kind of like this. Not talking about the longer range in that video, just focusing on the snow. Tomorrow morning I'll have fresh model updates and full update on what you need to know for your Wednesday morning. And of course, tune in tonight at 11 for an even fresher update. We'll be about 6 or 7 hours away from the snow at that point. And so tune in to the late news, and I'll see you then.